Or you banged loudly again on something, and this is the best. I mean, I'm gonna based on what just all our thing. This may be what you're sort of looking for. The fact that your friend here like went. I mean, went through education. I know almost nothing about Nelson Mandela. Is that sort of what you I mean, I apparently like that, good, I mean, when I mean, no, good high schools, colleges, graduate schools that Nelson Mandela and like he would was not the top, which is not that was one among many things like I didn't know anything about, which is sort of that's the people but what they were saying partly there is that people like young people and things like aren't being weren't like they're not educated about who Nelson Mandela was. Is that sort of what you want me to tell you, that neither was I like educated about Nelson Mandela, even though I went through all good education in America didn't teach me anything about it. I mean, I was never introduced to Nelson Mandela or the history of that or him. Is that sort of what you want me to reveal? That has to then be the case for most of our education system, because folks like me, were had the part of had a privileged education. So that tells you something about, right? I mean, that people aren't being people who unless they unless they learned it from had no, I mean, not in the school system. Let me put it that way. It's no. That's not something that's part of an education in this country that much. Is that what you want me to reveal? It's certainly true in my case. I knew almost nothing about Nelson Mandela. Maybe that you want me to tell you that, because that's the truth. So that's one of like a many things that, right, I've always what I didn't learn in American education. In light of what in like this moment, it seems like really obvious that that's a problem. Then there, I mean, that's important. That's important. Talk about rate. See, part of like when we said about like rate, like we talked about the only times we've talked here about like racism in the societies. I said, well, sort of people like me weren't really educated in a way where we be aware of or sympathetic like to things that to the history of racism, to the bunch of things, and certainly not to a figure like Nelson Mandela. That's not part of a general education in our country. That kind of thing, and neither is a lot of things about neither are a lot of things that are hard to know why people aren't being educated about that. From white person here who really knew nothing about Nelson Mandela. You know. The only reason I even knew the word, the African National Congress, well, it was in when I was in specifically political science, it was mentioned in, somewhere, but just mentioned the existence of the African National Congress, no real awareness of it. In our country, I think you have to come from like an activist family to know about certain things for some reason. It's not part of a general education in the society. It might be one reason why racism is so persistent. Is that what you want me to share? Maybe it is, or at least share with the people who see this in real time.